Okay, Ann Coulter has just called libertarians a very bad word, and I'd like to see what context this is in. It is edited, but you can see it now on The Blaze. It's a she goes to battle with John Stossel and a room full of libertarians, and I'd like to see what she means by this, because we'll see if we agree.
Look, this is why people think libertarians are. We're living in.
The word she uses there is like wussies.
Right.
But spelled differently.
Different.
Thank you.
Only just
got
slightly
it. Got
different.
it.
A country that is 70% socialist. The government takes 60% of your money. They're taking care of your health care, of your pensions. They are telling you who you can hire, what the regulations can be.
What's it have to do with the drug
and
war?
you want to suck up to your little liberal friends and say, "Oh, but we want to legalize pot." You know, if you were a little more manly, you'd tell the liberals what you're.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't know if it is. I mean,
I think it is. I think it's true.
Look at John
agree
McKay. Wait. She says she wants this. You want to suck up to your liberal friends.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you know that is a libertarian that is also friends with somebody like Paul Krugman or with Barack Obama? I guess in Hollywood.
Well,
in Hollywood.
Remember Occupy Wall Street? There were some Ron Paul supporters in that. They got dragged right along with those people.
I guess so.
That happens to libertarians.
Well, here's the problem. Because we've just had a run-in with a libertarian who I think thinks he is God. I've never even heard of this guy, but he thinks he is. And I'm going to use a bad word here. No,
it's probably not a good idea. When you stop yourself to not say it, probably not a good idea.
No. I said it in the meeting the other day because it was a quote from somebody.
Yeah, no. I know what word you're talking about.
Okay.
There's no reason to do that.
But it's such a good phrase.
No, it is.
Anyway, I wrote to a very good and very influential. Tell me if I'm describing this person wrong.
Mm-hmm, you're right.
Very influential libertarian, and I said I'd like to understand this because one of our researchers, John, went to this big libertarian convention in Washington D.C. and he wrote me all weekend long. He's like, Glenn, this is great. These people are great. And then he started in on about half these people hate your guts. And I said, for what reason? For what reason? And he said, I can't even have a conversation with them. I can't even have a conversation. The ones that he did have a conversation, it all stems around Ron Paul. That I don't agree with everything that Ron Paul said. And what I know. And what I can't understand isn't libertarianism, isn't the definition of that is we all are different and we're individuals and we believe in the power of the individual?
That's exactly what Coulter is saying here.
Right. And so I believe in the power of the individual to choose. And I don't have to agree with you on everything. But this guy, I'm having this argument, not even an argument. This guy wrote and said, if Glenn Beck wants to join our club, meaning libertarianism, then he has to come and atone for his past transgressions. And I thought, oh, is that you, Grand Inquisitor? What is this, the Spanish Inquisition? You're more fascist than some of the fascists that I have seen. And the same thing with many of the hardcore Ron Paul supporters. You are supposed to have a brain of your own, and you're not supposed to be about an individual. I mean, libertarianism is about a set of ideas, maximum freedom, not about a person. And it is about the idea. So I wrote a couple of letters, and one of them said, this guy is just a jerk. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
And but I wrote a couple of other people, and the libertarians that I respect, that quite honestly are teaching me about libertarianism, where Penn Jillette is probably the one that's doing it the most. I'm having these off-air conversations with Penn. How does this work? Well, how do you do this? Well, what about drugs? What about this? And we're having these great conversations because I'm trying to learn. And, we had this conversation, I think, yesterday, Penn and I did, about he's on this kick right now about he hates tribes. And I didn't understand it at first. He's like, I just really hate tribes. He said, we all get into this tribe mentality. And I haven't shared this with Penn, but I want to. We're about 18 months away. This is the first time, we've been really kind of free without the machinery of the tribe, of the GOP tribe. And you only have about 18 months. In 18 months, they're going to start hurting us again. And they're going to start saying, if you don't get behind Chris Christie, well, then you are. And if we don't have another candidate, if we haven't strengthened the person that you like, maybe it's Rubio. I don't. For me, it's Rand Paul. If you don't strengthen that guy and we don't make a coalition that people want to be a part of, you ain't going to make it, gang. You're not going to make it. And for these people who say, oh, well, you guys are just trying to co-opt the libertarian movement. Co-opt the what? Co-opt the 1% that you get? Co-opt? Co-opt what? Co-opt the people who are hanging out, as Pat said, with Occupy Wall Street? I don't want anything to do with those guys. And the idea of liberty and maximum liberty and the least amount of government without anarchy is not your idea. It's the founders' idea. In fact, it's God's idea. And if you don't believe in God, well, then it's, I don't know, their shoes' idea, their pen's idea. But it's not yours. And you would think that at this time in our country, we have the opportunity to get rid of the party system. But we have 18 months to do it. We have an opportunity to destroy it right now. But it won't be done by crazies, radicals, and people who are shouting other people down because you were a part of the... Really? Okay, whatever sins I have. Do you not want somebody who says, I'm trying to honestly learn. I'm trying. My opinions have changed. And if your opinion... Were you born a libertarian? Are you a Gnostic? You were born knowing? Because I wasn't. There's a lot of things that I've changed in my life. And anybody who says they aren't changing, they're not evolving, is a liar. Or they're just perfect. I mean, I was against the Patriot Act unless it had sunsets. I was still stupid enough to believe that we had people in Congress that understood that too. What a fool I was. You can't trust these guys. Now, are you going to open up and start having a real conversation with people? Will you open up and say, look, the drug war does so much money. But if you can't also recognize, because I can recognize that, I'm there. I'm with you. Our foreign policy doesn't work. Having these bases all around the world doesn't work. Having endless wars that are not declared doesn't work. I'm there. Now, can you at least admit where this society is right now? This society is strung out on the drug of government welfare. The other half of society is strung out on the American flag being all over the world. And neither of them will see reality. No one will see that it doesn't work. It's not going to last. We made mistakes beginning 100 years ago. And we have all been indoctrinated. And I'm sorry that you guys are just so special that you have just been on this since birth. You were born with a Ron Paul pin on your body. I'm sorry that you are so brilliant that you've always known and never have made any error at all. If that's the way you want to be, you're going to get 1%. And what you'll be doing in 4 years is you will be bitching that nobody will put your candidate up on stage. And you will lose everybody that you could have gotten into your boat. You will lose them all to somebody like Chris Christie because they will say, we cannot have, I mean, who do they run next? Mao? Who do we run next on the Democratic Party? Che? Oh, geez. Chris Christie's or Che? If that's the only choice, I'm going to go with Chris Christie again. What do you say right now? You put your sanctimonious, holier than thou, see, I was right since I was 2. And when somebody wakes up, you say, brother, we've been waiting for you.
Yeah. And what they forget is there's a reason Ron Paul was a Republican. He couldn't win as a libertarian. He tried to win. He could not do it. And there's a reason he couldn't win as a libertarian.
Rand Paul is your best shot right now. Rand Paul could win. Did you see what Rand Paul did yesterday? He found $500,000 in savings in his office. He went through his budget line by line of his office. Every senator gets $2 million. He returned $500,000 to the Treasury and said every single senator and every single congressman should go line by line and cut your spending. Think how much money we could save with 100 senators and all the congressmen. And then, he said, and every single leader in every government office should do the same, and we should incentivize them. We should say, if you save $1 million, you're going to find a raise at this amount. You find $2 million, you're going to get a raise on this amount. We should reward people for this. Well, there's thinking that actually makes sense. But nobody's going to listen to it, and I don't know if you've seen this, but nobody in the media is reporting. But every time somebody reports in the media, you libertarians who are you're Nazis. The fascist libertarians that you have to agree with absolutely everything. You are more fascist than anybody in the Republican Party. Because you are if you don't walk in step exactly with you, you're not welcome. Here is a media source that believes in liberty. I believe in liberty. Now, I hire some Republicans. I hire some crazy libertarians as well. And that's the spectrum that we're playing in. No other media source will do that. We try our damnedest to get the biggest amount of people that believe in the Constitution from the very edge, not into anarchy, from the very edge of the Libertarian Party, this is what we will cover, to the edge of the Republican Party. And somewhere in there is your winning formula. The closer to the crazy edge of the Libertarian Party, for me, the better the solution is because it's maximum freedom. But you have to understand that the people have to be taught. But every time somebody wants to be taught, you want to rub our noses in it. You have a media organization that is trying to. Tell me, was Fox there? Was CNN there? Was MSNBC there? Was anybody there? Nope, we were there. We tried. We tried to go in. We tried to understand. We tried to learn. We tried to make some friends. And what did you do? Piss all over us. Do you think anybody who doesn't really believe it is going to help? You think anybody? We believe it. So we'll be back. And we'll be back at all the conventions. And we'll report. And we will try to learn. And we will try to continue to hire people because we believe it. But because we haven't had some litmus test administered by somebody who's declared himself king, we get pissed on. Well, you name the media source. Name it. Well, we don't believe in the mainstream media. Well, okay, neither do I. But you have to understand, the vast majority of the population, while they don't believe it, that's the media source they're going to. And so if you don't help people, if you don't see places where we can unite and help each other, because we both believe that the one thing that we can do is just reinforce the Bill of Rights. What do you say? We put everything else aside because there's plenty of time to argue, but we're running out of time. So what do you say? We unite on the Bill of Rights. I believe in no warrantless wiretaps. I didn't always believe that because I believed people were honest. Boy, what a fool I was when you give them power. I believe somebody can't come into your house and just take your gun, go search your house. I believe you can't be scooped up in the middle of the night. I believe no matter what you say, I will defend you. I defended Bill Maher after he said what he said right after September 11th, and this audience hated me for it. But he has a right to say it. And most Americans believe in those things. I believe in a right to have a gun, defend yourself, and also to have a gun so you can defend yourself and gather together to defend liberty against an out-of-control government. I believe in states' rights. I mean, there's 10 ideas here that we can unite on. I'm begging you. See the opportunity that you have. I don't care what you say about me. I really don't care. People that are far more powerful have said worse things about me. Whatever. Forget about me. Forget about the Blaze. Libertarians, I'm begging you. Please see the opportunity that you have with about 30% of this nation, maybe 60% of this nation. They will come your way. They live in that space until you go and say, there's no other way but this way. Nobody wants to hear that. You don't want to hear that from the people in Washington in the Republican or the Democratic Party. Don't give us another choice where it is all or nothing. Don't give us another choice where you run it. Give us the choice that libertarianism is all about, where I run my life. I live side by side with somebody who disagrees with me, and I can run my business one way, and they can run their business another way. And we still are friends because we believe in the Constitution and liberty and recognize that we're not all as perfect. Some of us are coming a little late to the game, and we apologize that we're not as smart as you are. Well, there goes any shot that I had with making any friends with that are libertarians. Oh, well.